Growing up in a school and community where my culture is integrated and celebrated is comforting. It feels like I have a place and that I belong. It's honored rather than put off to the side. It feels like it creates a balance between my tribe and all the other cultures around us. And it helps to educate those, like my friends, my teachers.
It's really comfortable to be in a school where my culture is celebrated, and it's definitely securing, feels good. I left Montana in the 8th grade. Immediately felt very comfortable around everybody when I moved out here. Yeah, I was definitely accepted into overall friend groups and just really made feel comfortable almost immediately.
I know a lot of Native students, they feel like they don't belong or don't have a place, aren't connected to their roots, and I've never felt like that. And I'm very grateful to have never felt like that because my school does a pretty good job of taking the time to acknowledge the land around us and who was here first and all the tribes.
We're really lucky as the North Kitsap School District that we live on 2 sovereign nations. So we have the Portgam-Squam tribe and the Squamish tribe. So it's really cool that we get to bring all the culture in here. And then we have a lot of students who aren't part of local tribes, but they get to, feed into and join the tribes when they come in, our local tribes, to do the song and dance.
Since I first started working with students, I've noticed quite a bit of an improvement in the presence of culture. It feels like it's more present now than it has been in the past.
I've seen a lot more students wanting to wear their graduation caps, beaded caps, cedar caps, eagle feathers. So I think that's a huge improvement of them identifying as that and wanting to celebrate in their own way and being allowed to do so. I appreciate the leaders who put that at the top of their priority list and listened.
There's more opportunities for celebration, and that really happens at the school level, especially among teachers. Teachers are always looking for ways to embed Native American culture or history, especially when we have the Squamish tribe right here. So they're always looking for outside resources to bring in and share with the students. So I think it's just much more of a celebration now than when I was growing up.
I'm seeing it honored and celebrated more. I also see it in the curriculum. I've had the honor of sitting into classes and seeing in their Washington State history class how much tribal history is being included into the lessons, or in our pre-engineering classes, seeing lessons on weaving or making cedar ornaments or things like that. So it's really nice to see our tribal cultures having a place in the classroom and celebrated with the school as a whole.
I've seen it evolve in a good way. When I went to school, there wasn't a lot of representation. And then even my children going through schools, there was more representation, but not a lot. And then today I see how students are really comfortable being who they are, not having to change who they are. There's song and dance, there's language, there's a lot of pride that comes with that. When my kids were in school, they were little, and me and my husband would go into the classrooms, and there would be kids in there not knowing that Native Americans were still alive. And so they were surprised that, we were Native and we shared our culture. They even asked us things like, what type of house do you live in? But I've seen it with a lot of the multicultural assemblies, Native American Heritage Month, the Clallam Word of the Day. So it has evolved in a good way. I feel like we still have a long way to go, but it has gotten better, and I just see it getting better year after year.
Some of my favorite traditions in the school would probably be being able to bead and learn some new crafts. Making a cedar grad cap, which I'm really excited for because it's so unique and something so special. And then also, I really like song and dance because it's a way for me to kind of relax and disconnect from school for a moment and have fun dancing and singing with my cousins, my friends, and being able to connect to my culture.
We're definitely the multicultural assembly that we have, where we get to come early in the morning and make lots of fry bread for everybody at school, for everybody. That's very nice. weaving of cedar and beading graduation caps for all the new graduates.
For the last 2 years, I've actually went and collected cedar with other staff members, hoping to get the students more involved this year, but I brought the cedar bark here and the students were able to help process that for this year's grad caps.
And I think one of our best events, it's not necessarily a tradition, but it's a way for students to learn about traditions, is our cultural day. So we'll have fishermen, weavers, canoe makers come in and teach the history of those things and why they're important, but show how they're still being used today. We've had fishermen come in and go through the whole process of, filleting the fish, smoking the fish, canning the fish. There's an annual field trip for our fourth graders to go down to the Squamish Museum and learn about, the land that they're living on. It's the ancestral lands of the Squamish people. And so to bring those kids down there and get to ask questions that they might have had but might have been scared to ask, it just leads to a better understanding. We've had Squamish language program come in and teach Lushootseed, the Squamish tribal language, to kindergartners. And if we're starting them in kindergarten, it just opens their minds. It gets them asking questions and gets them eager to learn about more Squamish culture.
I think that it's really great when we have family members, community members come in and support our students. It gives them that sense of belonging and that connection and makes them feel like welcome at the school. The kids light up when they see familiar faces, they get excited. Just having that connection and that consistency, it's something that the students can really look forward to.
It feels like a big family. It feels like, I don't know, it's heartwarming to see everyone come together and to always feel supported. And I'm just really grateful that I get to have the opportunity to come to school so supported.
A lot of times during the multicultural festival or during song and dance or anytime we have some type of celebration at the school for Native American culture, a lot of times my family, like cousins, aunties, uncles, anyone who's here will be close. It adds a sense of comfort and home, especially for those just going into high school. It helps feel like a safety blanket almost.
To think of education beyond just the student, it really involves their broader community. That includes their family, but also the broader tribal community as well. When their families or community members are involved, it's kind of a sense of pride, and I think increases their sense of belonging.
Trust doesn't come as easily from our people because education was used as a weapon against us, our children. Sending our children to school wasn't a safe place. Even generations down the line, there's still that distrust and lack of trust. But it's slowly getting better, and I think everybody's slowly healing from it. For the kids to be able to see somebody from their tribe in their school, or their parents or their aunties coming in and volunteering or working there, I think it's very important so that they can know that they're safe. They can have a sense of belonging, and then their parents also have that. They know that their kid is safe if there's somebody from the community working within the school, and they know that there's always somebody advocating for their children there.
I think having community members, whether they're related or not, I can't overstate the importance of that. Historically, especially around this area, tribal communities and the district don't always see eye to eye, but having those, aunties, uncles, mom, dad, cousins, come into the school and just being here, just being present can be very impactful. We'll have them come in and they'll go to lunch, sit down and eating lunch with the students, going outside and playing basketball at recess, just helping out in the classroom, I think is such an important role in kind of building a relationship with the school. And then on the other side of that, when they get to see a family member or relative come in for a cultural event, and you see the kid's face light up and they're recognizing, hey, that's my culture too. This is something I'm proud of. That's my auntie up there talking about filleting fish, I think that is just really important in building that connection with their school. It's not just a place where, hey, that's my school, I go there every day, but the school is embracing my culture and embracing me. That goes a long way with getting kids to buy into school. They're not just here to learn. Schools are communities, right? So if everybody buys in, I think that helps kids be more successful at school if, they want to be there and they feel like they truly belong.
Some ways I felt supported as a Native American student in the school is by always having someone to talk to, like Miss Chrissy, or Eddie, anyone who's able to support me both with emotions and mental health, but also with my academics. And it's been a big help with pursuing a further education by going to college, helping with scholarships and applications, and giving me opportunities for giving back to the community and trying to just grow as a person.
I've always had someone to talk to, whether it's about culture, identity, or grades, and Miss Chrissy always is here. And I think that she plays a pretty important role.
The Native American education liaison positions are valuable. When you have a space inside of a school where students know where they can go and with people that they identify with, it creates that safe space for them. I used to work as a Native American liaison, and so it was having that space where kids could feel comfortable, but also ask for help if they didn't know how to advocate for themselves. Like, they would come to me and help. So I think having those spaces at the schools is valuable.
Something that schools could do to further support Native American students would be just to really just check in with students and see the things that they need, just to make sure that they're doing all right.
School districts in general are much more open to bringing that culture in and having community members, students, or whomever, share with that culture. And I just think it helps build a connection for those students with the school. The better connection those students have with the school, the more successful they're going to be.
I think a way that schools can continue to support Native American students is encouraging further education, maybe with a reward system or incentives, or just like adding extra time for academic support so that Native American students feel like they have a chance at further education and feel motivated.
Whether it be academic coaches from the tribes that are hired by the tribes or liaisons like myself, feel like if there are more staff able to serve those schools, then the students can build those connections with them.
So we have a really special position here at the middle school where we're both working for and with the tribes, but are also in the school every day. So it's really about access. It would be really different if we're not based here at the school. There's just more opportunities for those touch points with students every day. And I think, talking a lot about bringing the tribal community in is important, but there's also something to be said to encourage the school to go out into the reservations. There's so many resources and opportunities. We usually do parent-teacher conferences at, in this case, like at the Suquamish House of Awakened Culture, which is a community gathering space. I offer homework clubs at the Tribal Youth Center. It's a two-way street. I think that it's important to have tribal impact in the school, but also making sure that the school is coming out to the tribal community itself as well.
Sometimes there's a fear of families wanting to go into the schools because of, historical trauma from the boarding schools and stuff like that. And so I have administrators come down here and meet with families, and then we also offer hosting of parent-teacher conferences, so then we get more involvement. And that's actually the foundation of education, is having that personal relationship with the families.
I think it's vitally important that tribal communities and districts, no matter where they're at, continue to have open dialogue. There's going to be disagreements on best practices and what's going to be best for our students, but as long as there's honest communication, it's going to lead to better results for all of our tribal students, and it's mutually beneficial.
I think the call to action would be to reach out to your tribes. We're very fortunate because we have a strong relationship with our district leaders, and we have a great partnership, and we've been able to create programs like the language program. And so when you have those sometimes difficult conversations, uncomfortable conversations, but at least it's a conversation that you're having. So if you're in a district where you don't have that partnership, like reach out. You know, there's somebody in the tribe, either in the education department or even tribal council, that is willing to come in and share their experience, share their knowledge, their culture within the district that, you know, serve the students of the tribe. So
visit your local tribe. Find a local tribe and take it upon yourself to go there. I mean, you don't need an invitation. You can go and stop by. People stop by here all the time, and we love it when they come and ask questions. Stop by, make yourself known, introduce yourself, attend a community event. I think it's amazing when school principals come out to our events, they come to powwows, they come to the canoe journey. In most tribes, I can't speak for every tribe, most tribes are very welcoming. They have very good hospitality, and I think that when they see you in places outside of school and you're coming into their world, it makes the students and the parents feel a lot better, and that relationship will be better if you do so.